What is going on, guys? This is Miasin from the present day, so in other words, not a pre-recorded video. I think it's easy to tell, because obviously if I'm in my studio, in my room with all the lights and all the good quality, it means that it's a pre-recorded video, which will be the case for the next, 10 days or something. And then after that, I'm gonna basically have to rely on, another week of making videos while I'm here in Algeria. But yeah, I really wanted to touch on the Orchust deck because it really recently got Harp Horror back from the ban list, and it's actually really relevant. At first I was like, just Harp Horror. I think the deck got power crept, but it's not what I thought, because obviously with Girsu coexisting with Harp Horror for the first time in the entire existence of the TCG, there are a lot of really interesting things that you can do that I actually believe will make Orchust good enough to the point where it can compete with the meta, because it actually has a lot of good matchups, and it can be paired with a lot of engines that didn't exist back in 2019. So yeah, obviously today I will be going over all these combos, as well as the deck profile, but before we proceed, I would really appreciate you guys so much if you could just take 2 seconds out of your time to smash the like and subscribe button. Alrighty, thank you so much, I really appreciate you. Anyways, combo number 1, look at what a single Foolish Barrel can do. It's actually pretty good, because it's not the best one-card starter, and it's good enough. So just having Harp Horror in the graveyard is enough. It doesn't obviously have to be Foolish. It could be like Orchestrated Return, PhD Harp Horror, or anything else. If you can find a way to get Harp Horror in the grave, you summon the Girsu, and then when you summon it, you're going to be able to Foolish your deck for the Nightmare, and then you can use its other effect to summon a token. So obviously, every path leads to Rome. There's just so many variations of that, like Armageddon Knight is still the exact same combo. But at this point, you go into Link Rebo because you need 2 effect monsters, including an Orchust, in order to make the Galatea. So the Link Rebo does matter. You wouldn't be able to just use the token. And then you shuffle back the Harp Horror into the deck in order to use Galatea's effect. By the way, this is one of the reasons why Shifter doesn't actually beat this deck. It's because even if your cards get banished, it actually fuels your Galatea. So you still get the Crescendo, which is an Omni-Negate through Shifter, and it's a 1-card combo, so it's really not like you can say that it actually hurts this deck. Anyways, you flip the Babel, and then you use Orchestrated Nightmare. Babel is actually so good at dodging Bestials, by the way, because they all become quick effects. The World Wand is the exception to the rule, because even though it has the properties of an Orchust monster, it's not an Orchust monster. Yes, unfortunately. Anyways, get back the Orchust Nightmare from the Banished, and then go for the Girsu, and either send that token to the graveyard, or attach the World Wand in order to have somewhat of a follow-up. And then you're going to be linking off into IP Masquerena and pass turn on that, so that's actually good enough, because on the opponent's turn, since you have the Babel, your Orchust monster's effects are all quick effects, which means that you can go Orchust Nightmare for the Symbol Skeleton, and then revive back the Girsu, and then send 1 card your opponent controls, doesn't target, doesn't destroy. That's really good. And then the Masquerena can link off into an SP, banish a card on the field, and obviously it has the double Farfa effect. So 1 single Foolish Burial, basically any way to get Harp Horror in the graveyard equals 3 interruptions. So obviously IP into SP is 2, and the Girsu send is another 1. But if you use the effect to send the token instead of attaching a monster, you actually end on no follow-up. So it really does matter if you think the token could actually hurt the opponent, but if you don't think it does, then who cares, right? If you're playing against Kashtira, the fact that you're giving a token to your opponent is the most beneficial thing ever. And obviously there are some other strategies where it could come up. And another thing about the token is that if you give it to your opponent, you could actually play around Lightning Storm and evenly that way. Just make sure that you try to summon monsters in defense, or you find a way to prevent your opponent from crashing the token. But either way, at least they're wasting their battle phase, and you still have this the Babel, and you're not even committing that much. You're only ending on the Masquerade and the field spell. So as long as you keep the field spell and you have the ability to summon the Girsu, that's all good, especially if your opponent has to take 800 massive damage and then lose the precious battle phase. That's it for combo number 1. Very simple. Let's get into combo number 2. Alright, so combo number 2 is to show you guys just how resilient this deck really is, because it doesn't lose to Nibiru or Droll if you play correctly. If you don't play correctly, then yeah, Nibiru might actually hurt you, but a 1-card combo can still play through Nibiru. It's actually wild, but you also have to have the right extra deck for it. Anyways, normal summon the Girsu and obviously send the Orchust Nightmare. It gives you more flexibility than just sending the Harp Horror, which just locks you under only being able to summon from the deck. Orchust Nightmare can get you access to the Harp Horror anyways. But yeah, get yourself the tokens and then go into the Link Rebo. The Girsu has a 100% chance of baiting an Imperm, because after that there is no more opportunity for your opponent to Imperm you. So just keep that into consideration. But yeah, anyways, Orchust Nightmare into the Harp Horror, and then go into the Galatea, get back the Orchust Nightmare into the Babel, and then flip that, and then banish the Harpor, summon the Sybil Skeleton, and then the Ngirsu in order to attach the Harpor, and then you're going to be linking off into the Masquerina, and you will proceed to end phase, because if you get Nibiru'd here, you still have the follow-up in the form of Sybil Skeleton. In the end of main phase, your opponent just absolutely 100% has to Nibiru you here, because there's nothing else that they're trying to do anyways. But you're still in main phase 1, so you can go Sybil Skeleton, banish, revive back the Girsu. So at this point, you would have the Harpor and the Galatea in the graveyard, and the Dingirsu, which by the way, you can only special summon once per turn. So also keep that in mind. Anyways, link off into the Masquerina number 2, so that's very nice if you actually play 2 Masquerina. It makes you immune to Nibiru to a certain extent, because Masquerina is broken in this deck. It really is unfair, because all of your effects are quick effects. You're summoning more sometimes on your opponent's turn than on your own turn. Well, maybe not, but almost. Anyways, pass turn there. And I guess the Nibiru itself is a threat, but you can actually still deal with it. So you can go Harpor, summon the Meknet Girsu on the battle phase, and then send the Skeleton, and then revive back the Girsu, and either use the effect to attach, and then when the Masquerina would die, you detach, or you can send this Nibiru to the graveyard, which only matters if you're scared of the Nibiru being a potential link fodder, which shouldn't matter that much because you would still have the Masquerina into the SP, so you'd still have a bunch of interruptions, but again, your opponent wasted a battle phase for literally nothing. And you can still play the game through a Nibiru. Not too bad. That's a 1-card combo, by the way, because we can obviously do way more than that. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's get into combo number 3, which this time we'll be playing out a hand. Alrighty, so my hand right here is very interesting because I am playing what I personally believe is the best way to play the Orchust deck now, because it's super consistent. Actually really good going second, and if you're good at grinding, you're gonna be really good with this deck. It's maybe not the safest way to play the deck, because if one misplay and you lose, because you have to be very ahead of the curve and very good at resource management, but it's really nice. But anyways, I have double Runic Slumber, Imseti, as well as the Freezing Curses and the Fountain. So I'll be going activate the Fountain right away. Oh, sorry, not even. Imseti, Surge the Sarcophagus by pitching the Slumber, and then draw into another useless Imseti. Activate the Fountain, go into the Slumber, special summon the Hugin, and then discard. So yeah, Chilling Quinn the Fountain, recycle back 2, and Chilling 2, search the Fountain with a Hugin. I draw into the World Wand, which is not really good, and Runic Destruction, so my hand is not really ideal. And I have double Inseti in the graveyard, so things could really be much better. But you have so many ways of discarding that the Orchust monsters are never bricks, and that's the reason why I really like this build. I'll be going into more details on the deck profile, which is very soon. Anyways, revive back the Duamutef and the Imseti. The Duamutef I sent it by discarding the World Wand off of the Sarcophagus. And then I'm obviously going to go into the Zombie Vampire. Oh, a quick little fact right here. The Zombie Vampire, you can actually summon it by using monsters your opponent from like your opponent. By treating them as level 8s. So you can exceed summon a rank 8 monster by using 2 non-level 8 monsters, which is relevant because of Mind Control, Change of Heart, and Snatch Steal. This makes Zombie Vampire better than ever. Anyways, mill 4 and then revive back a monster. I milled an Armageddon Knight and a bunch of other cards, so that's actually pretty cool. And I will be Foolishing for the Harpor, revive back the Happy, which is kind of irrelevant, and then special summon the Girsu off of the Harp that I Foolish with Armageddon Knight. And then Girsu sends the Sybil Skeleton, link off it to Galatea, and then get my Trap card or the Field Spell. But I already have the Runic Fountain, so I don't really need like to replace a Field Spell with another Field Spell. And the Omni Negate is looking really juicy when I have my Runic set up. Anyways, I'm gonna go into the Evil Storm Nightmare because it's actually pretty easy to get 2 level 4 Dark Monsters in this deck, and this is a double Interruption. It is quite good. And yeah, obviously I'm gonna go into the Masquerina, the Ngirsu, attach back a card, and then link off for the... Actually, I don't even have to because I already have IP Masquerina, but I'm gonna activate another Fountain, and then a Runic card so I can draw even more cards with that Fountain, because it's another one. And then Gary is going to be recycling back my other Fountain, so I'm gonna be getting 3 cards in my hand. So draw 2, and then recycle back 1, Runic Tip, search a card, banish a card, and then I'm gonna be linking off into the Galatea. And at this point, I would have an Omni Negate in the form of Crescendo, a double Book of Moon because of Evil Storm Nightmare, the Masquerade into SP, so that's 2 interruptions. So that's 3, 5... and then 6, 7, 8. Yeah, because of my Runic card. So it's kind of like the same playstyle as Sky Striker Horus in a way, but instead of playing with Sky Striker cards, you're playing with Runic cards, which again, I mean, you're just replacing something good with something even better, I want to say. Anyways, now let's get into the deck profile. Alrighty, so for the deck list, I am playing, like I said, the Horus engine, so 3 Imseti as well as 1 Happy and 1 Duamutef. I want to play like 3 different Horus monsters because they were decent to draw if I play like 3 Sarcophagus, otherwise they're all bricks. And obviously, they're really insane in this deck because you go into Zombie Vampire, you mill a lot, and there's just so many good cards to mill. Milling Runic cards is good because it increases the likelihood of Fountain being a draw 3. Even if you only have like Fountain and 1 Runic card, you mill 2 and then you draw 3 instead of only 1. And you can obviously mill Orchust cards, which is remarkable. So yeah, Zombie Vampire, very, very, very nice. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, 3 Sarcophagus as well. So 8 Runic cards, 8 Horus cards, as well as 17 Runic cards. These are always the obvious ones to explain. So 3 Freezing Curses, which is a Forbidden Chalice. 3 Runic Tip, which is a searcher, it searches anything. Runic Flashing Fire, it destroys a special summon monster upon controls. And then Runic Destruction is a Mystical Space Typhoon. And Runic Slumber is kind of like the worst one out of all of them, but it's still not too bad. So that's the reason why, even though it's not super insane, you still want to play it. And then 2 Runic Fountain, obviously. The conflicting with Babel doesn't bother me, honestly, because if I have Galatea access in the Runic Fountain, I just set the Crescendo, and I really don't care. Or I can go for Babel, and then get this in the grave, and then go Gary, recycle back, and then I can play for next turn. Or I could replace the Babel with a Fountain, and even the Babel can recycle itself back to the hand. So honestly, I never really feel bad playing with 2 different field spells. It just, like I said, doesn't feel awkward whatsoever. But anyways, for the Orchust cards, I'm playing 1 Dark Grepher, which is a very good extender when you're playing so many high-level Dark monsters. So yeah, Horus, as well, Imseti, as well as World Wand and Orchust Nightmare. That's if you want to special summon it, otherwise it's just like another Armageddon Knight, but that requires you to discard a card. Well, a Dark monster, actually. But I mean, come on, all of your monsters outside of Happy and Duamutef are Dark. And then 1 Armageddon Knight, 1 World Wand, which is not really good. It's the worst Orchust monster. If it was like an actual Orchust, then it would have been like insane. But it doesn't suck whatsoever. But it's not good enough to be any more than a 1 of. 3 Orchust Nightmare, this card is any Orchust card, basically, when you foolish it. So it could be your Harp Horror, your Symbol Skeleton, or your World Wand. So clearly this card's fantastic. As well as 3 Girsu, which is by far the best normal summon in this deck. You could play Reinforcement of the Army to search these cards, but then you just play more normal summons. I don't know if it really increases the consistency, and it might make you lose to Drool for no reason, because this deck should not lose to Drool. Anyways, 1 Harp Horror, obviously, as well as 2 Symbol Skeleton. So yeah, 17 monsters, and for the 3 Orchust cards that I'm setting with the Galatea, it would be 1 Orchestrated Return. It's once per turn, so why play more? Unless you're like dedicating to like the Allure of Darkness version with like Upstart and everything, but I don't know. And yeah, 1 Babel as well as 1 Crescendo. So 40 card deck list, I want to say this is super clean. You don't really want to play hand shops in this version at the very least because it would conflict with your overall strategy and it would turn on like triple tactic talent, thrust, etc. But this deck is very grindy. Like the Orchust cards, they grind very well. The Runic cards, they grind very well. So again, if you're good at resource management, you're gonna have tons of fun playing this deck. It's very reminiscent, again, to the Sky Striker Orchust deck that people were using to destroy people back in 2020. Very similar playstyle. Anyways, for the extra deck, 1 Evil Storm Nightmare could be anything. The Zombie Vampire, as well as 2 copies of the Girsu. Long Girsu for removal without using your battle phase, because you are skipping your battle phase with the Runic card. So you do need forms of sending cards your opponent controls to the grave. And Long Girsu is one of the good ones. And obviously, Din Girsu is insane. 2 Galatea, 2 SP with 2 Masquerena. That's how you play through the Nibiru, so that Nibiru never beats you. And the second SP is just really there for, I don't know, again, grind, because you play the Runic cards, which also make SP very insane. And then the Link Rebo, of course, for the Girsu token, and the 2 Hugin, and the Gary for the Runic cards. So yeah, 15 cards in the extra deck, obviously. And for the idea section, I already talked about that while I was going over the combos, but anything that can steal a monster would make Zombie Vampire much better, because you can use your stolen monsters as level 8. So you could steal like a level 4 monster, and overlaid with another level 3 monster that you also stole from your opponent's graveyard, potentially with a Dark. So that also counts, which is really awesome. So yeah, Change of Heart, Snatch Steal, Mind Control, which is now a 3, as well as Engage Widow Anchor, which again is really like a part of the theme. You know, if you really want to dedicate to like that way of breaking people's boards, which I also think is very respectable, you can do that as well. But yeah, anyways, Triple Tactic Talents, another monster stealing card, what a coincidence, which is another very good card that you can play in this deck. But this deck is so resilient, you're not losing to hand shops, so there's honestly no drawback to playing Talents. I really like it. If you want to, you can play a Bestial package in this deck. I will also show a deck list with the Bestial engine. It's not too bad, but I'm not going to go over details on that one. And then if you want to play hand shops like Ash or Imperm, whatever, go for it. Danger Monsters, Tsushinoko, Jackalope. You could also play Nessie, which is fine, but they don't really do that much, honestly. and they make it so that you can't really play hand traps because then they become awkward. The Scrap Engine is very explosive and allows you to do a lot if you're playing Scrap Wyvern and the Fridge, but then you're playing Garnet, so I don't know, is it really worth it? Maybe not, maybe so. It depends on if you want to treat Orchust as a combo deck or as a mid-range deck or like even almost a control deck. In this one, I'm kind of, it's like a mid-range of like combo, control, and mid-range at the same time. It's really a mix of everything. This deck is literally everything you can think of because, like I said, it's explosive when you want it to be explosive, it grinds when you want to grind, and it just never really runs out of gas, so yeah, you don't really have to make it any more complicated. Sometimes less is more, and that's the reason why I don't really recommend people to just play Garnets if they want to make their deck more explosive. You really don't have to do that, trust me. You don't need like 7-9 negates to beat your opponent sometimes. Sometimes just like your basic combo with like resilience through hand traps should be enough. And also going second this deck actually puts in that work. You really don't need a hand traps unless you're playing against FTK decks, but hey, at this point it is what it is. But yeah, anyways, Dark, Galatea number 3, Scrap Wyvern, and if you want to play the Virus cards, you can also do that. So yeah, that's it for this deck profile, at least for this one. Let's get into the Bestial one. So I'm not going to go over too many details because almost nothing is different, but again, I'm playing the 8-card Horus Engine with the 2 normal summons, well, Dark Grepher and Armageddon Knight, and then the exact same amount of Orchust monsters. But this time I am playing 3 Lubellion as well as 1 Magnemite, 1 Saronir, and 1 Druid Worm. And I am playing 3 Ash because at this point I committed to hand traps and I'm now playing like a 17-card engine. Forbidden Droplet, Super Poly. Droplet and Super Poly are just insane because discarding cards doesn't hurt you, and as a matter of fact sometimes it actually helps you out. So these cards are just cracked. And then obviously Ash is generic, so why not? And then again, the exact same amount of Orchust spells and traps that you can set off of the Galatea, and the Regained and Branded Beast off of the Lubellion. For the extra deck, almost the exact same is, well, we almost have the exact same, but obviously no Hugin, no Gary. But this time we do have Garura as well as Muddragon of the Swamp for Super Poly targets, and you can maybe like squeeze in another one. And we have Topologic Zeroboros that you can summon off of the Masquerena as well as Dark the Dark Charmer. So you can make Zombie Vampire without using a single Horus monster because you can summon the Lubellion and then you steal 1 monster maybe with the Dark, and then you make Zombie Vampire, you mill, and then you see where it gets you. So sometimes drawing 0 Orchust is still full Orchust combo. Everything is full Orchust combo, even without Mermaid. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about Orchust in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.